watch the recording and be able to go from there. So I just want to thank everybody for coming on in. As the others come in, like I said, they'll have to catch up from there. This is the Legacy Farming and Health meeting. Couple of announcements for everybody. We will begin to have our 2501 monthly meetings, and that's going to take place in our normal legacy meeting. But we're only going to have our legacy meeting once a month. So instead of every 2 weeks like we have been, we're only going to have it once a month. And then we're going to have our 2501K Life Project grant meeting that is going to be once a month. So it's going to take place for one of our regular legacy meetings. With that, there's going to be a special invitation sent out. So we need everybody to everybody wants to call me at the wrong time. Anyhow, we're going to need everybody to make sure that we got your information, your logos, your ID, your email, and your phone numbers so that we can make sure that everybody gets that. We're also in the process of starting to do our next round of grants. We will have somebody, Dr. Tasha Davis, who has been doing grants for 25 years. She's going to be on here talking to us and working with us on a few grants that we got coming up. So I want everybody to be prepared and ready, have your stuff ready for that. For those who may not have a program that they're doing, there's no problem with tagging on with someone else and partnering with them on and duplicating the program that they have, if they don't mind you doing that. So I'm sure that with Darrell, with some of the stuff that he does, what I do with the 4-H and the hoop house, there's no problem with me. And for anybody else who gets in on the grant, we can duplicate those in other states and stuff. And so that's the hope, is beginning to duplicate the training processes and stuff that we do in other states and to get everybody involved. So one other thing right quick, just taking care of in-house business. Now, we had a logo that went out. Quinn, I didn't hear from you. Gabe, I didn't hear from you. So, right now, and I'll put them up. Let me see if I can get those to come up. One of them is not finished, so don't put that against it. Put it against me. But I've been gone for 5 out of the past 6 days, so I haven't had time to finish doing the logo on this on the second. So I'm gonna go ahead and share this so that everybody. Let's see, where's my share? All right, there we go. So Gabe and Quinn, imagine that the one that's in the black is the same as the one over here, with the exception that you got it blacked in. Need to hear from you guys which one we're going with.
Well, this Quinn, my pick was the black one with the wings.
Okay.
As I recall, you write, and I think you mentioned, in the email about the wing, with or without the wings.
Okay. Okay.
So I said I like the one with the wings.
You like the one with the wings. All right.
Yeah, but I didn't know what everyone else had.
You weren't supposed to. You wasn't supposed to get everybody else.
Well, I remember Chef Joseph saying
it was a private ballot. It was a private
oh,
ballot.
Okay.
All right.
See what I was gonna say. You know, I agree with. I'm rock with what everybody else said, but
All
I
right.
did like the black.
All right, Gabriel.
Yeah, I did see it when you sent it out. I did see the responses to it. I wasn't really partial to either one. I liked both of them. So I guess I should have acknowledged that. But yeah, I like the one with the background, the red and green background. That one's good. That was nice.
You want the one? You like the one with that's all gold, or the one that has the black?
I do like the contrast of the black, but I also like the subtlety of the one that has all gold. So,
okay.
I like the one that's all gold.
All right. So, the fun part is we got a 3-3 tie. If I had to put a tiebreaker in, which I did put one in just in case, I'd asked my bride, but since we got MD on there, we'll ask her. Which one you go for?
I like the subtlety of the all gold one.
Okay, well that puts us way over because Denise went for the subtlety of the all gold, and so did you. I had picked the all gold. Tamika had picked the all gold. We got Quinn, TJ, and Darrell that picked the black. So with that being said, if you guys are willing to accept the all gold, we'll go with that. Is that good with everybody?
Yes, sir. Good with me.
Yep. Yeah, that's good.
All right. So yeah, because we got to move quickly on what we're doing here. So we got that. That's settled. We're rolling with it. Like I said, we will start having these grants that are coming out. We're going to start having people sent to a web page. We got that being knocked out and worked out, finalizing everything that's on that. So we should have that by our next board meeting next week. And so we will go from there. So, but with all further ado being set aside, we do have a guest tonight. Now, I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce your first name, so I don't want to mess it up. I believe, say your second name correctly. That's why I've been announcing you as Miss Harris. So,
hi everybody. I'm Ajoa Harris, ADH Marketing Consulting. I've been a consultant for about 2 years. Previously worked with the USDA, Tuskegee grad, and met these lovely folks through Facebook, and I'm happy to be here.
Tell us a little bit about the work that you did.
So pretty much what I've been doing over the last 13 years, I've been working with farmers, working with all types of farmers with the USDA, a lot of consulting for the USDA, technical assistance, helping people get financial assistance because, of course, there's $400,000 for individuals and companies, businesses, nonprofits to receive through, federal funding. There's local and state and county funding that I also will assist with because a lot of the agencies have partnerships. So definitely I've worked with that, and that's what I've been working on doing is creating partnerships of my own with the business. And my biggest thing that I love to do and I'm passionate about is outreach and also agricultural education. So that's a lot of what I do, a lot of technical assistance.
Okay. So that's, the fun part is that, and I believe that's the reason why we had reached out to you when we saw the things that you were doing. It mirrored a lot of the things that we are also doing here in our group.
Right.
And so our thing is that we're not trying to reinvent the wheel. Our thing is
Right.
that we are out there to find the best avenue that works. And with you having a lot of the background with the USDA already in play, that I think it will be a valuable asset. And so with the things that we're doing around here with our 2501 grant, which is designed for us to introduce all the programs from the USDA, the grants, their scholarships, and things of that nature, and to get the people to get involved with these grants and programs and scholarships, and also to increase their involvement.
Right.
That's basically what we're doing also. I think that with what you have is something that we deem to be valuable, and would like to see if there's avenues or ways that we can work with you in achieving what you're looking to do, and seeing how you can work with us to help us achieve what we're trying to do.
Most definitely.
So I know we had a conversation last night, so I'm trying not to take over the whole conversation. So I'm gonna allow the other people to begin to ask some questions. I'm sure that there are some of those who may have questions. Normally they do. So. All right, Quinn. I see you grinning.
I'm just listening, man. I'm enjoying y'all. Thanks for coming. I welcome you to the share.
Thank you.
And you're welcome.
All right. Chef Joseph, Darrell.
Yes. Yeah, definitely as well. Thank you for taking time out of your schedule to join us. And I think it's is interesting. Well, not really interesting, but it seems to be, just listening to the tone of your voice, that you are definitely passionate, about what you do. So outreach is one of the biggest things that definitely is needed, and it's good to, look forward to what we can do to help or collaborate, to continue to pursue the mission of helping others.
Right.
So you're doing a program, a workshop.
February 4th.
Yeah, up there in Virginia. What are some of the things that you questions that you might be able to or want to ask that might be able to help you out in what you're doing up there that you may have had some hangups with dealing with folks on this? I don't know.
Yeah, well, one of the biggest hangups that I see here in this part of Virginia is that it's kind of like an elephant in the room where you can have something great to try to help people, but yet the conditioning of the mindset, sometimes will kind of stop people, try to, stop people from really just launching out for something that could really help them. So I guess one of the things would be how to tap into the portals of the USDA on this side, here in Virginia Beach, to let them know what we're all doing as a group. And that's been a challenge for me, actually.
Well, in my opinion, a lot of things would assist with doing a lot of marketing, getting people interested with the reasoning behind it, what's the purpose, and also talking about, like I stated earlier, with the funding, like there is $400,000 available to individuals, businesses, nonprofits. People don't see the money; they just see the foolishness, the upset. They see a lot of the discord, but they don't see the bigger picture. So those are the things that I like to paint out to people and get them to visualize. And food, people come to meetings with food. Yeah, those definitely seeing the money and seeing the long-term benefit of it. It's not going to happen in 6 months, and it might not happen in a year. But definitely, I've seen things completely blossom from like 2 to 5 years, and then even working with the participants for 10 years. And definitely after 10 years, it's freaking amazing in my opinion. And I haven't seen us in those 10 years, but I would like to see more of us because it's doable.
Okay, great.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Gabe?
Yeah, so I work mostly in the aquaponic space. I don't see a lot of programs, or I don't see many, or if any, programs really supported by the USDA that specifically target aquaponic type farming. I'm sure it will come later, but I think my interest, my focus, I do have a workshop that's going to be coming up March 13th in Atlanta. My focus would be, how do we get new farmers acclimated to what the USDA has available to new farmers, and what is the process to get them started. So those would be some of the bigger hurdles that I would like to be able to help facilitate with the folks that I'm talking with on 13th in my workshop. And again, it's mostly aquaponics, but there could be a lot of similarities from whatever programs are available for new farmers. It may not be specific to aquaponics or conventional farming, but I think just focusing on new farmers and how do they get the assistance that they might need through the USDA that's available to them, and helping them through the whatever red tape is there.
Right. Well, I know definitely for sure, like the aquaponics, whether it's like the solid structures or whether it's like a pond, those things still can be incorporated, especially if it's more helpful when people have actual ponds as far as getting funding. Because there's different, you're looking at the conservation practices, you're looking at your resource concerns. So those are other ways to assist the full farm value, you know, your wildlife, your anything to keep erosion. Those are the types of things that you're looking at when it comes to programs. You know, if you're going to have animals, those are other things to help. So you might not be able to get funding for your aquaponic system, but you can possibly get assistance with irrigation. So it just you really have to work out the resource concern that you're working with. So a lot of it does have to do with wording, and a lot of things can be used used differently. So that's the biggest thing is just really have to focus. You really have to focus at the bigger picture and what you're trying to achieve with the final goal.
All right,
I might have to come on because I'm close to Atlanta. I need to come back anyway.
That's what I'm saying. I'm glad he told me so I can set my stuff up so I can be down there in Atlanta.
Yeah, I just put it on my calendar. I might have to come down there.
I have a question for you. Okay. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, go ahead, Darrell.
So are there any, one of the things, like, are there any counselors or any people on standby to, like, that you can share what you're trying to do and, you know, and see if it will be a good fit for any of the programs? And then, of course, I guess the person will have to get a grant writer to be able to tap into the specific wording. How is that whole process structured when a person has something to believe of that may be of interest, but yet is it up to them to do all the research to find out, okay, this is what I can do, then hire a grant writer to do it? Or do they have counselors on not counselors, but, you know, staff on standby to say, okay, you know, what are you trying to do? I'm trying to do A, B, C. Okay, and that's it. That's the question. Thank you.
So they have periodically they should have meetings. Like I know when the 2501 grant, they had like a national call-in webinar But you can go to your local office. Normally, you might have to go to your area office. They can say yes, it's a good idea, but they can't help you. If you submit something and it's just you're missing something, you miss something. It's really upon the group or person to read and just really hit the point, hit the mission of what the actual grant is, and just be as creative as possible. That's the biggest thing, is to be innovative and creative.
Okay.
And me, I'm the people who can say this is gonna be good.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I understand. It's just the time to promote, you know, how you fit in to the equations. And so let me go about and share with you, you know, where everybody is. We got Gabriel up there in Atlanta. He does the aquaponics. We got Quinn, who's in Michigan, and he's into cannabis. We got Chef Joseph, aka Darrell is his real name. He's in Virginia. We got Troy, who is in what's up there by New York somewhere, but I'm not exactly sure. Is it Philly? Troy? He's not there. And then we got TJ in Florida and Elizabeth J up there in Florida also. And we also have our other guest, Miss Tasha, on the phone. And she's up there. I don't know if she's in Chicago or if she's in Gary. I can't remember. But she's right up north of me. And met with her this weekend, so we'll be talking to her shortly. So let me ask you this: you got several programs that you already do, correct, Ms. Harris?
Oh yes.
Yeah.
So basically, my goal is to work with different organizations and help with the technical assistance, and basically create, bigger partnershis. And I look at a lot of the different organizations that I'm working with. If I see, I look at how people work. I look at how organizations work. Again, working with such a huge organization, I look at the smaller groups when they're, I guess if you've been like on a think tank type of deal, or things like this, I just look at the different groups and see who can work together. I'm really big on teamwork, because a lot of these things can be done, billions can be made. It's just really the groups have to work together. And also the documentation. A lot of organizations are failing to really get documentation submitted correctly. I've heard this from, area offices, state offices in meetings. And that's the thing, when you have $250,000 in grant funding and you're trying to get 50, and it's like, well, where's your documentation? A lot of groups are failing. So those are the things I definitely like to assist people with, or want to assist people with, and educate them on, get it done correctly so you won't have a problem. And also with that, going to other smaller meetings, those are, I don't like to work with the government because I don't get your money. I'm like, it's documentation. That's the biggest thing, and it can be seamless. It doesn't have to be complicated.
Okay. So with our organization, we started out as a think tank, and we've been at this. This is we finished up 3 years. We've gotten our first grant, which is the 2501 grant. And our goal is, because we got farmers all across the nation. I think we're in about 20 different states. And so we're in the process of putting together this team, that we believe will be able to make a difference throughout the world. Our thing is that we're not in competition with each other, against each other. We're in support of one another. We're not just with those who farm, but we're also with the people such as Troy who does putting together the web pages and stuff like that to inform people of what's going on and things of that nature. We're in support of the health professions who are out there trying to get the word out about, you know, what it takes to be healthy eating. And our thing is to be able to go to our communities and be able to also get them to do the understand the economic value of everything and how they can be able to control their own communities and be able to end a lot of the death and the fighting and the killing and stuff just through something as simple as agriculture by promoting the different things. So our thing is we're in the process, and like I said, when we saw what you had, it's like, man, she's got a lot of this already taken care of. So you know, our thing was if we can look at what you're doing and work with you on that, our thing is to duplicate. Once you got it, let's just duplicate. You know, might have to tweak it here and there with what we got, or add, you know, a few of the components and stuff that we have. But I think that is something special. If you would, so that everybody can get an opportunity to see some of your stuff. Put in the comments, tell everybody, and also if you can put in the chat your webpage and stuff. I know I had that earlier, but Darrell, he always likes to beat me on the call, so he got me before I could get that one pulled up. I might be able to go and pull that up and share that with everybody. But if you could just go ahead and tell everybody, so people will hear this and view this later, so that they can have it. So go ahead.
Well, again, I'll put that after I finish. And just to go over a little, again, working with the USDA, I wasn't a part of a farming community. I went to Tuskegee to be a veterinarian, and I thought that was going to be great. Working with the USDA, I learned a lot, and definitely the partnerships matter. I definitely see that. That's something that I encourage, and I want to create with my business. And again, that it's about mutual benefit partnerships and everyone, doing their part and being able to, create something great. So that's definitely something that I would like to do. And I know we spoke briefly about the hemp. That's that's doable in the USDA, and that literally changed within a year. I know some states are still behind. However, you can still, if you look at the bigger picture, there's a lot of things that you can still get put onto a farm, into education to speak about. And once, your state is coming, ahead with it, you can already be a year ahead of where you need to be. So definitely, I really encourage people to educate themselves. And I look at the programs. I know the programs constantly change, and it's a lot of fluff in the paperwork. However, again, it's money out there, it's funding out there, and it's just really about being creative and submitting the proper documentation.
So if we could take you on and ask you to assist in our project here with your expertise, would that be something that you would be that you would consider? Yeah,
most definitely.
Because I mean, our thing is that this is part of what we want to do. This is, like I said, we did this for 3 years just as a think tank, working out the logistics of how we think that everything should go. Then once we get into the mix of it, part of what we've discovered with the USDA is that with Gabe being in Atlanta, he goes to one of the offices. He asks a question and he gets one answer. Quinn will go up
And
there in Michigan.
that happens. Yep.
Yeah, he'll
Mhm.
ask the same question in the office up there. He'll get something totally different. And with me, they'll tell me that hey, it doesn't exist at all. And so and that's part of what we as a people have been facing with them. And that's why it is our passion to be able to solve this issue with our people and be able to show them how to get access to the things the funding and stuff that they have out here, and also show them how we can utilize this to build up our communities.
Right. And yes, that's as unfortunate as it is. It's happened. I've even gone to an office just to the same thing has happened to me in the office. I didn't even present myself who I was, and it's happened to me, and I laugh at it because I know, but it's I can't really understand or describe that feeling, so to speak. However, my goal is just to assist. And that's just what it is. I mean, the funding is out there. I don't see what the problem is applying for it, because I've seen too much money go back to DC, and it's a shame. So yeah, I've seen way too much money to go back. And during my last year, with assistance of a ex-coworker, we were able to push almost $1 million in our office, and that was the biggest amount of funding in that office since I couldn't even remember. So I was happy in a sense with my part as an employee, as a person. However, I know it's not really going on around the country, and it needs to, especially when there's we have $15 million here, we have $75 million. Why are groups and organizations unable to get this funding?
Right. And that's part of what our issue is. And I think that, just as a people, one, not having heard of these things, and then all of a sudden you hear that, oh, there's $250,000, $400,000, $1 million grant. And a lot of people get shell-shocked. Then when they look at the paperwork that has to be done, then they're shell-shocked again. And so I think that a lot of times they turn and walk away because it seems like, one, it's going to be unreal to be able to get it, and two, all the hoops and stuff that you got to go through seem insurmountable, that they just turn away and walk away without even taking that opportunity to try. And so that's part of what we're trying to do is to put together a group that's strong enough to be able to help them walk through those pathways, which I believe that what you're sharing.
And that's what's needed. Most definitely, that's what's needed. The groups will, especially if your groups, you're knowing people, you have your connections, you're in the, within the community, and literally just the application to apply for is literally 5 pages. A lot of things can be done online. I tell a lot of people to do things online. It's documented. But literally, the application is 5 pages. It's the other stuff that it's. I know a lot of people are scared of paperwork, but it's really. I still don't understand I won't call it being scared. It's just the apprehensiveness of it. All I can think of is that it's still. I think you were speaking about mindset and also the past. A lot of people do hold on to the past, and I've seen that with everyone, races, age groups. A lot of us hold on to it. However, I see $1 billion, everybody else should see $1 billion.
Right.
So.
So, TJ, you got a question?
Hey, this is Gabriel. If you don't mind, if you don't mind, can I interject real quick?
Go for it.
Yeah. So I understand the intimidation factor when it comes to looking at some of these grants and the criteria that's involved. Who's allowed? What's the eligibility, et cetera. When I looked at various grants on my own individually, you know, I'm competing against, you know, institutions, tribal organizations,
Nonprofit.
you know, nonprofits, large businesses, and I'm a single individual, and I'm thinking, oh well, I don't have a chance. And I think the key to what you mentioned earlier is that the partnerships, I think, are what the USDA really cherish or want to see, or is what they encourage the most, is the partnerships. I'm working with a school group right now, and they will. I've been told by somebody that's already approved previous grants for this particular grant that the USDA is really looking for the partnerships.
Right.
So I think as an individual before, I probably did not have a chance, but as a partnership, the one that I'm working with here with the Life Group, I think that's the key. So I'm hoping that we can encourage, you know, as many different folks to come and join this endeavor. And I'm really glad that you're on to give us the insider insight, because I think that's extremely valuable for us to keep moving forward, especially bringing on new members, and the members that we have here that aren't participating with the grant. From a financial standpoint, we definitely want to get them on board.
Right.
Yeah.
So TJ said he didn't have anything yet. MD, you got anything?
No, I'm good.
All right, Darrell.
Yeah, so I think it's very interesting what you're saying, and a couple things caught my attention. When one, you were talking about, bringing the money into your office, and then, and then at the end of the day, that's the office, not you individually. If I'm not totally correct, then please pardon me. And then you're talking about your own business and your own ventures and things like that. And I'm a person of action. I just don't play anymore. There's no time on the clock anymore.
Right.
And I think it'll be definitely an asset if we could find, of how, and I know we're talking about this, but how we can all collaborate and figure out, like, to the strengths and weaknesses, what we're saying, and then go forward. So it's probably redundant what I just said as far as coming together, but it sounds like you could definitely be a good asset. And then this would actually could, from my vision, from my standpoint, it's like this could actually help you fuel your endeavors and things that you're trying to do for your business.
Yeah, my biggest thing is the partnerships. And again, like on my website, I want to promote other groups. I want, you have your group, have another group. There's more grants out there where you can have multi-state agreements. If you guys looked at some of those it's there. The funding's there. It's really just getting that creative. I've seen a lot of the things that are about the same, but definitely having some type of creative spark to it definitely works. Like even this is a Zoom meeting. That's something creative. That's putting technical aspects into things, especially with younger farmers, younger entrepreneurs, younger business owners, being technical. So those are the creative things.
Troy, you got anything? I guess he's just listening. So, but yeah, I think that what you have to offer is very important. We put your information up. I put your information up, and I believe you put up Google Doc that they could go to and get your information also. So for those who may want that, go ahead and take down that information. Quinn, who is our acting secretary right now, be sure to get that information so that we can add her into our list of contacts. And if you guys don't have any other questions for her, then I'm gonna introduce our next guest. So anybody got anything else that they want to ask right now? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you guys.
You know, I will be calling because I need help on a lot of those things. So I definitely will be utilizing your services. Want to talk to you about opportunities to work with us on this also. So we have Dr. Davis, Miss Tasha Davis. And I see she's on her iPhone. If I can get her to chime in, we'll be good. Dr. Davis, are you there? Well, I think we lost her. You must hit the off button. She'll come back in a few seconds. Then she had to pick up. I think she said her daughter at a game, so she was on there for a second. So hopefully she'll come back in. She is. I'll read her little profile. I think I got it.
There she go.
There she is, Dr. Tasha. Yeah, he's got on mute. See if I can help her. Unmute. Nope, she's got. She have to do it on her end.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. I heard somebody.
Sorry, y'all breaking up, or I'm breaking up.
Okay. Well, we can hear you. Go for it. Okay, well, we don't hear you now. All right, I think we should hear you now. I see your mute is off.
Because I can't. All right, can you hear me?
Yep.
Jim? Okay, hi. I didn't even hear anything prior to me getting connected, but I'm assuming you wanted me to introduce myself.
Yes.
Okay. I'm Dr. Tasha Davis. I started a foundation called Save One Life Foundation back in 2017, all from my experience of working as a dean inside the juvenile prison at St. Charles here in Illinois. It's the maximum prison for incarcerated juveniles. And from that, I had started a trade program where we implemented a horticulture, custodial maintenance, and construction. And they earned college certificates in those programs. So it was Lakeland College that I worked for that brought me inside. But in that, I realized even though the young people had access to college education, they had no clue what to do with it afterwards. There was really no bridge to connect them back to the community, which urged me to start the foundation. And in the foundation, we mentor youth through college. We started a prison to college pipeline, and we have about 6 young people who are in college now, one of which is graduating. And many of them have their certificates in horticulture, but are doing nothing with it. And I think connecting with Mr. Jamerson really helped bring to fruition my idea of starting an entrepreneurial education center and teaching them the field of farming. Other than that, I started writing grants in 1997 with a grassroots foundation out of St. Louis. And throughout the years, I've worked and written grants for several organizations, including Save One Life Foundation. And I think at this point, I kind of been researching the grant writing and just trying to get our hands on all the money that's out there, including federal, state, and local. And just listening to the young lady speak about the grants, it kind of answered all my questions of the who, what, when, where, and why a lot of the things are occurring as I apply for them. So I'm just ready to bring my grant writing expertise along with the connection with the community and the youth to the field of farming. Prior to even meeting with Mr. Jamerson, I had my mind wrapped around it, didn't know how I was going to get into it, but you know, everything that I do is pretty much driven by God, and He placed them in my life just last week, working on some projects here in Chicago. So that's kind of the gist of it, of my background. I have an MBA in business, so a lot of my background in writing grants and doing the budgets and the narratives of the budget come from that, along with, of course, a doctorate in education, which I've spent, you know, writing a dissertation. So I feel like when it comes to grant writing, the young lady is correct. A lot of that is fluff. Once you get in and you get through the federal government DUNS number, SAM's number, and all those steps, that's kind of the redundant process. It's the narrative and the meat of what you're bringing that I think is what they're looking for. And then, like she said, partnerships. You know, I'm a small foundation. We're doing great work, but until we're connected with larger organizations that it seems like the government is probably already doing business with, I don't see us getting a lot of that funding that is out there. And I just really had a question about what happened. What's happening in the state of Illinois is a lot of that funding they hold discretion to keep. So even if you have a lot of small organizations like ourselves applying, it states right in the grant that we have the right to retain these funds if we don't disseminate them. So if you have 1,000 small organizations applying and they don't like that project, they'll hold that money and roll it over or keep it back in the fund until they find someone that they're willing to relinquish it to. And so now that I've spent that time writing, last year I spent pretty much the whole year writing, I'm ready to embark on some that I feel like can get past the process and actually get implemented.
All right. I had an opportunity to spend the whole day with Dr. Davis the other day in Chicago. I think we were together basically from lunch to dinner, just about, or from breakfast to dinner.
Breakfast, yeah.
It started early at the Kennedy King Center, and then went to a luncheon, and then went to the Heat graduation thing that evening. And so I've been sharing with her what our group is about, that we got farmers from across the nation, and that we're trying to work together to build the infrastructure and network throughout the country, duplicating as much as we can, and then connecting the network together so that we can be able to support one another in events such as this year when Indiana had so much rain that 2/3 of their crops weren't able to be put in the ground. So we want to build an infrastructure that will be supportive of one another, where we can, we got farmers who has that can grow plenty of produce, but it's not always just growing produce. It's getting somebody to buy it. So if we have that supply line that they can go through throughout the states and stuff, and be able to do that. If we, for those in Illinois and Indiana who are in the winter season right now, where everything is freezing and below, how do we get access to fresh produce and stuff like that? So that comes from partnering with our people in the South. And that's basically what we're doing. I think that with Ms. Harrison and Dr. Davis being here, I think that both of them bring that added value that I think that, if possible, to get them to join in with us, can take us to that next level. So, like I said, I like bringing on people I'm impressed with. I'm impressed with both of these ladies and the things that they've done. But I want to open it up also for everybody who may have questions for Dr. Davis. And let me ask this, Dr. Davis, could you elaborate a little bit more on your Save One Life Foundation?
I think she might have cut out.
Yeah, she may have hit the.
Okay, wait, I got it. Save One Life Foundation basically works with incarcerated youth who are re-entering to the community. And we pretty much provide wraparound services that are bridged by mentoring. So we deal with youth that are going to college or trade school. Our goal is to get them while they're in the inside to create an action plan so that when they're leaving out, they're prepared to do what their plan entails. And that could be college or work or trade school, and just a few of the other things that they deal with would be mental health and drug addiction. And so we just try to be like accountability partners for them until they get through our program, which are considered evidence-based services that prevent them from going back to jail. And so this year, we have our first graduate who's graduating this year, meaning he completed it for 2 years. And he'll be graduating through the prison to college. So we have a prison to college, prison to community. That could be just going into some of the restorative justice hubs that are located around the state that do the same thing. We just are really trying to wrap our arms around the youth because a lot of the gun violence is associated with youth. And that's how our foundation was established, is really because what we're hearing is Illinois is really trying to close up all of the juvenile facilities and pretty much dump the youth back into the community with no plan for us to do anything with them. And so that could be a worse situation than what already is. But we go around the state and we deal with like credible messengers to mentor the youth, and we kind of do a call to action to the community to become mentors instead of just focusing on the organizations that come inside the prison, like local church organizations that may not really connect with the youth. And so in terms of the agriculture part of it, a lot of the youth came through the horticulture program and have been reaching out to me about moving further. But we always wanted to do something entrepreneurial to get the young people to have access to some of the contracts, whether it's construction, that's going around the city, because they need jobs too. And if you look at all the big criminal justice reform, it's not really inclusive of the youth. And that we're trying to serve as a voice for the youth right now.
That sounds excellent. I'm gonna start with Darrell because he's got the entrepreneurial program, and I'm sure that Gabriel probably have some questions on how his aquaponics might work in, and Ms. Harris, if you got any questions or anything. Anybody. So I'm just opening it up to the floor.
Okay.
Whoever has a question, go for it.
Yeah, I just want to definitely say, again, I really commend you for that, and that is one of the major things. And I have to and if y'all hear some background noise, I'm actually in the store. I was running today, but I'll stick with Dr. Boyce Watkins, just mentioning something that he was talking about, is that it's good what you're doing, which is great. But at the same time, there's not going to be enough jobs for everybody. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's really good of what you're doing, the attempts that you're making to help tap into their gifts. So if they can't find that job, what could be the alternative? Because I'm a firm believer that if they can find out like what it is that drives them, their passion, all that kind of stuff, that will open up a lane for them to create, what it is they're supposed to do while they're on the planet. So I just want to say that's really good, and I apologize for background noise. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Well, we try to spend a lot of time tapping into their passion. We actually have a studio inside of the jail that it was donated to our foundation, just as a path to deal with some of the trauma and to be able to talk about it, to see life outside of jail and outside of the poverty that they've been through. But when I was inside as the dean, I mean, I spent quality time pursuing that part of them. And that's kind of what the mentoring piece is, to be able to allow them to create some type of action plan for the next step. And hands-on, a lot of them are hands-on. When I was working, developing the horticulture and the construction and custodial, you could really see the difference in them from learning something like horticulture. To see things grow from dirt to ability to consume it was amazing for them. So I think just exposing them to things outside of what they're used to will tap into what they're good at. And then we can help guide them into that direction. But a lot of them are a lot smarter than we give them credit for. Like I said, guys that were the worst of the worst and considered like lifers and murderers turned out to be scholars. So you really don't know what their capabilities are. There's guys who can't read, but they were great mathematicians, until you spend some quality time with them. And that's why we really focus on doing a bridge of going inside while they're in a place of giving you the capability to learn them. And then when they get out, they're ready already. We're not still trying to convince them to get ready. We usually work with youth who have shown a track record through a diversion process inside that they're ready. Now we lose a few because they go back to their environment, but the ones that have changed their minds, like I said, we have like a 87 or 83% recidivism prevention rate out of the 6 that we've dealt with. We lost 1. And that's just because he really didn't have a changed mind. It wasn't that we put him in school and he wasn't ready for school, because he had the best opportunities school-wise than any of them. So it wasn't the environment that he went to that didn't work. It was his mind not being made up. And I think dealing with farming on the inside and then being able to come out and use it could be life-changing for some of them, because they really did enjoy it. Outside of farming, they enjoy a lot of things. You have people, music, they like using their hands, welders. It was all kinds of youth that came out of it. So I don't really try to steer them in one direction. I'm thinking if we can open up, my focus for the foundation is to have an entrepreneurial education center where they can learn what they're good at. And it is not necessarily always school related. Some of them could operate electronic equipment very well. So they were real technical, and you wouldn't really know that unless you spent some time with them.
All right.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, that's yeah. Okay, I'll leave that right there. That's excellent.
Anybody else?
I just like to just make a comment, no questions, but just to thank Dr. Tasha for what you're doing. I think that's a great thing that you're doing for the youth, for our people, for the youth. I commend you on that.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
It's definitely been challenging as I continue to go to meetings. Like I met Mr. Jamerson 2 days ago. The next day I went to the Cook County, the Tom Dart. He's like the head of the sheriff of Cook County meeting yesterday. And just to hear all of the things going on, but not inclusive of the youth. And even though it sounds like a lot of these grants are hollering youth, it's going to take a youth program like me to collaborate with someone who's already doing it for them to take the chance on the youth. So it's discouraging watching it. Even with the programs they have out there, it's some great manufacturing programs. Everything was for an adult 18 and over, and nothing was implemented already for young people. So I'm just curious to see how, even though the narrative is hollering youth, every grant I have on my table right now has a youth component to it, but I'm just reluctant to see who they're taking the chance to give that money to. I really see the same organizations around the state getting money. They have been around for many, many, many years, And I don't know if they've like politically connected or what, but I'm kind of like observing and working at the same time, trying to maneuver.
All right. Gabe?
Uh-oh. Hey, it's Aja. With the groups, I would definitely would target more than one group. Like when it comes to the grants, it's definitely advantageous to target more than one group. So, because a lot of the folks are on veterans, or whether it's, I mean, we all know minorities, that's a given, but youth, young and old, always normally pair.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for that.
All right. Dr. Davis, I'm trying to type your information in, but my eyeballs, I don't have my glasses.
You can read it,
I'm trying to see this, and it's like everything's a blur. So if you could say what it is, and I can get it into our
Okay.
in a video afterwards. But if you could tell people how they can
So it's Dr.
contact with
Yeah, you can reach me, Dr. Tasha Davis, Tasha. Last name is Davis. My email is Save One Life Foundation, all one word. Save, SAVE, 1 ONE, Life, LIFE, Foundation @gmail.com. And then our website is www.saveonelifefoundation.org. Same one word all together. And then it's my phone number. You can reach me directly on my cell, which is best at 630-429-6143.
that was SaveOneLifeFoundation.org. ORG.
www.
Right. All right, I'm trying to get all that in there. Save One Life Foundation @gmail.com. And I didn't get your phone number.
630-429-6143.
All right. Anybody else got a question for Dr. Davis? Dr. Davis, did you have any questions on anything?
No, I'm kind of just observing and getting to know everybody. But I think I had questions at first, but they got answered.
Okay.
They got answered.
Okay.
Oh, I do have one question. Have you all been looking at this, the USDA, the USDA federal grant for a cultivation innovation center?
Not in particular, but I mean, I'm open for it.
Oh.
I mean, I just have it. You know, one of the things that I've discovered, or one of the things that I've yet to discover is a way to be able to get all the grants that are pertain to this and get them in a timely manner. You know, I got a thing that sends me grants all the time from the grants.gov, but you know, they don't always spell things out, and I don't know if I don't have everything clicked off or not. But a lot of times there's different grants that come up that I miss out on. So, I mean, that's one of the things that we want to be able to provide is to have a list of grants and have people who are working on, you know, placing folks in those grants, working with them on that. So, but I would like to know more about it. Could you got any information on it?
I will forward it to you. I actually have it. I'll forward the grant number and everything to you once I stop
Right.
driving.
Sounds excellent. Sounds excellent. Miss Sabrina, I see you made it in.
Hello.
Hello.
I came in late.
Yeah. But well, we'll forward you the information that, you know, the video when we get done, as we always do, and go from there.
So much.
Okay. Troy, still trying to hear from you. I don't know if you're unable to or not speak. Okay. I'll just take it that he's busy. So if there's no other questions, we'll go ahead and adjourn the meeting. MD, you got anything? Are you still good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay.
I'm good.
Dave, you good?
I'm good.
Okay. So, so with that being said, there's something that I've written down on here that I needed to cover before we left out. Oh, TSU. There may be those, I don't know if I've spoke to you guys. My son has recently gone back to school to Tennessee State University. And in the process of going there, telling them about the programs that we're working with, and then finding out that he's from a farming community and things of that nature. They said that they would also be willing, and with along with other 1890 schools, to work with us on creating a pipeline with our youth to come through the colleges and stuff. So with that, you know, that's where your 4-H programs and your FFA programs and things of that nature can come in to play. Your junior master gardeners programs and things of that nature that you can work with, STEM programs that we can work with them. They set my son in their research area, and part of what they're supposed to do is come up with things for their students to be able to do throughout the country during the summer for summer projects with the youth. So they say, you know, however they can work with us on that they will be willing to do that. Just in the initial stages, he just started there last week. So as those things progress, we'll progress. So I just want to throw that out there just for food for thought. So if anybody comes up with anything or thinks of anything that might be advantageous for us to do, we can go ahead and move forward on that. But with all that being said, unless anybody else has anything else to say, we'll go ahead and adjourn the meeting. Are we all good? All right. Okay, I want to thank our guest, AJ.
Yes.
Okay, I thought you were saying. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I'm just looking around. I got 3 devices open.
Okay. Yeah, I can. When I see a light come on, it lets me know somebody is either making noise or they're trying to speak. So that's why I jumped in that direction. So
no, I definitely I appreciate the invite, and I look forward to working with everyone. And I really do appreciate the invite. That's the biggest thing. Thank you.
Okay. And we hope to have you to join us on future Zoom meetings. Would like to look at great opportunities of partnering with you. We do have a Facebook page called Legacy Farming and Health. Don't know if you have a Facebook ID, you and Dr. Dave. But if you do, look for me on there, John Jamerson, and I will hook you up with the Legacy Farming and Health. Is the name of our thing. We will soon be doing one for the Life Project, and the Life Project stands for Legacy, which is ourselves, our family, our community, our nationality. The I stands for innovation, which for the innovative ways of growing and farming, including aquaponics and hoop houses, different techniques of farming. F stands for farming, and that with that we go from growing food to also growing businesses. And then the E stands for economics, because we think it's very important that we have a strong economic backing in our community, that they understand how that through economics we're able to get out of this, and how to work together economically to support one another. And so with that being said, we're through for today, and I want to thank everybody for showing up. Like I said, once again, especially thank our guests, and look forward to talking to you guys soon. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. Peace and love, y'all.
Mr. Jamerson, can you send me the previous video also?
Sure, I will.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care, all. Bye now.
Bye.
Where?